Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program will begin in 2 minutes.
It's like we planned it that way. Woo is right. Yeah, I mean, how was that for FlightSimExpo 2024? What an amazing weekend full of exciting reveals, of amazing exhibit booths, of sponsors, media partners, hanging out, meeting new friends, hanging out with old friends. It was an absolutely phenomenal weekend, of course. A lot of people helped make the show possible, but as always, I really want to spend a moment to thank our incredible ground crew, the folks who come out and do all the work for you all weekend long. So I guess you want to know something about where FlightSimExpo 2025 is going to be? I'll tell you in a while. But first, let me tell you that you all have access to watch our online events, so that means that if you didn't necessarily see everything here on this stage, you do have access to go and watch back any of that over at flightsimexpo.com/watch. For those of you watching online on our YouTube channel right now, you're welcome to purchase access as well to see everything that you missed right here on the stage. Anyone do the PC build session earlier today? Yeah? Was that good? Did they do it? Nice. Okay, good stuff. So lots of really cool content available for you for folks who might be interested. Of course, that is all available. So I want to spend a couple minutes talking about why we kind of pick certain venues and how we go about figuring out where this show should be in order to basically lead us to where the show will be next year. We look at a number of factors, obviously, but here's some of the most important ones. The first one would be costs for you. So we know that if you have a family especially and you're traveling, you have to decide, am I bringing the wife and kids or the partner and kids or partner or not? You have to think about budget of a hotel room night, of a flight, of all those things. Your FlightSimExpo registration is just a small part of that. But we're trying to make sure that this show stays within everyone's budget, so it's accessible and inclusive for everybody from around the country and around the world. So that's one of our biggest initial factors is can we get to a hotel room night or accommodation that works with as many budgets as possible? The other big factor is costs for exhibitors. We want this show to be available to exhibitors of all sizes, large international organizations and small developers who are doing this as a side hustle like me. And so we need to make sure that internet, electricity, these are items that can be packaged into a booth for $700 or $1,000. I can't go to an exhibitor and say, hey, it's going to be $4,000 for internet over the course of the weekend. That doesn't work in our industry. And so that's a limiting factor on especially larger venues, larger convention centers and downtown markets. That's a place that we just can't go yet as a show because those types of things price us out of those markets. And the third big thing is ease of travel. So we want it to be easy for anyone from the United States to get to where we need to go. We want it to be easy for the many international attendees and exhibitors. Who's here from outside the United States along with me? Wow, that's awesome, guys, right? So we need it to be easy for you. Yeah, welcome. I like that. So it has to be easy for you to get to. And if I was to ask that same question to our exhibitors, it'd be about half who are coming from overseas, maybe even more. So it's really important for us to have good, easy access for those traveling from overseas. Now, funnily enough, I get all these complaints about Vegas being hard to get to. And I'm like, come on, people. I went to FS Weekend. I had to fly there, take a train, and then I walked for an hour from the train station because I couldn't figure out European Uber. And you can't get to Vegas? Painful. All right, so that's that. Now let's talk about kind of room rates and one of the biggest factors when it comes into costs. So leaving Houston last year, we asked you in a survey, what is the highest nightly room rate, including taxes, that you want to pay? And this was the survey data. So $100 to $150 a night, that was the sort of happy range for people. That doesn't buy you a lot these days. We're at about $170 a night all in here at the Rio. That was similar to Tropicana as well. And so that $150 to $200 a night range is a big limiting factor for us. But we know that it's an important factor for many of you. And so for us to go to, say, a big hotel in maybe Philadelphia or Seattle or Nashville, they're probably the only big hotel in that city that has enough room for us. And they are not giving away their space for $150 a night. The only markets who really kind of can do that are Vegas and Orlando, because there are about, 20 of these kind of places here in Vegas, and Orlando is the same thing. That's why they're convention cities. So then you might say, okay, well, what if we start looking at outside the box? Instead of just hotels, what if we start looking to convention centers? Not necessarily your big city convention centers, but maybe something a little bit further afield. Does the pricing start to come down, and does that unlock new markets? And the answer is yes. So if you take, instead of a big city convention center, something that's nearby, you're able to get the price point that works. And that starts to unlock new markets for us. So instead of the same convention cities and the same hotels, we can now go somewhere different. And that's what's going to be happening next year. I didn't even reveal anything. By the way, I had all of you trying to guess over the course of the weekend, and not a single person guessed right. Not Anchorage, Alaska. So you might ask, okay, well, what about museums or airports? I really love the concept of being in a museum. Like, who was in Houston? Right? So, that was a lot of fun, being around the airplanes, being on an airport. That was fantastic. Now, of course, we've already outgrown that museum. And we've done a fair amount of research. I think it's safe to say that we don't think there is a big enough museum out there that is willing to host us. There are big museums, but they may not close to the public. They may not be willing to do a 3 or 4 day show where they have to move their collection outside or somewhere else. Like, an aviation museum is designed to have a bunch of things inside it, and we need them to get those things outside so we can go inside. That doesn't work for a lot of them. Same thing for airports. I would love it if there's some airport with an unused terminal building and we could just take it over for the weekend. How cool would that be? So, well, it doesn't exist, but but if it did exist, that would be great. So my comment back to you is challenge that assumption. Like I've said before, when David kind of pointed out the Rio to us, if you can think of a place like that that has 60,000 square feet of convention space, that's what the Rio Pavilion over there is, another 30,000 square feet of meeting space, that's what this room is. If you can think of that you think would be willing to host us, send it to me. But I've talked to almost all of them, and I don't think it exists. So that kind of narrows it down a little bit. All right, now let's talk about the dates. So the question people often ask me is, why did we do this show in June? A couple reasons. Firstly, it's the beginning of summer vacation. So you haven't spent your whole summer vacation budget yet. Mostly kids are out of school, and I want more kids at this show. We need more kids at this show. So doing it, yeah. So doing it at the beginning of the summer, that's kind of a good time. You're a few months after the big Sun and Fun Air Show in Florida. You have to stay far enough away from Oshkosh, the big show in Wisconsin. And you have to also be thinking about the fact that we've got a lot of things going on over the course of the summer. Another big thing that happens at the beginning of June is that Xbox Game Showcase. So we always know Microsoft Flight Simulator is going to make some big announcement at the beginning of June. And if we can be here 2 or 3 weeks later to get all the details like we did yesterday, that works really nicely. So we basically get all the benefit of that free publicity that Xbox has to do, and that brings more people and more eyeballs to this show. So that's kind of some of the reasons why June is an important month for us and why you tend to see it around this time of year. So with that in mind, back on Friday, I played this quick video from Alana.
Hi, I'm Alana. At 2:30 p.m. on Sunday, we'll be announcing the date and location for FlightSimExpo 2025. Be in the Brasilia room or watch online at that time to find out where next year's show is going to be.
So I guess it's that time. So let me tell you that FlightSimExpo 2025 is going to be in a place where there is a regional airport that is less than an hour from a major international airport. It's going to be a place that is connected by Amtrak, regional commuter rail, very easy to get to. It's going to be on I-95. I'm always scared because I'm in like a room of West Coast people, so we'll see how this goes. There's 25% of the US population within driving distance. There's beach. And unlike in Vegas, sometimes it rains there. So let me bring back Alana, who we know from Friday, to reveal the dates and location for 2025.
Hi again, I'm Alana, and I'm here to share with you the dates and location of FlightSimExpo 2025. First, the dates. FlightSimExpo 2025 will be held June 27th through 29th, 2025, in a city that is in the northeastern US. It's accessible by air, train, and car, and it's in a city that's known for its vibrant arts, culture, and dining scene. As I said earlier, I'm Alana from the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'm so excited to share that FlightSimExpo 2025 will be taking place at the Rhode Island Convention Center in Providence. I can't wait to see you all there.
So there it is, FlightSimExpo 2025, as she said, will be held at the Rhode Island Convention Center in Providence on June 27th to 29th, 2025. I'm not sure if I'm getting played off the stage or if I can keep talking. I guess I'll keep going. It says I have 19 minutes left. I won't go that long. So a number of things that helped us get to that point, all those things that I mentioned to you before, we've already done all of our bookings, and we have an attached hotel, so there's no need to take buses. Everything's right there in central downtown. But we also have 3 or 4 other options. So for people who like a higher end property, that exists. And for people more on a budget, those options are there too. That's what a convention center starts to unlock for us, along with a new market that's in a different place, one of the places that we've been constantly asked about over the past several years. So we're really happy and excited about that. But there's another big factor here, and that is that, like I said before, at $150 or $200 a night room rate, we are not the most attractive group, to be honest, right? Like, let's face it, if they can get a $500 a night group in here, why would they not do that, right? That would make a lot of sense. But in Providence, we are actually kind of a big deal. So much so that they have had people here all weekend walking around with you to get a vibe of the show. That's how important we are to that city. They actually want us to be there. So they were here to get a sense as to who we are, what kinds of activities and fun things would there be to do after the show, and they are going to be at registration with giveaways and information about Providence for you as you walk out the door today. So everything in downtown, very walkable, very easy. Here's hoping we have nice weather. By the way, it was like 100 degrees there a week ago. And humid, yes. So as I get set to wrap things up for this year, I want to leave you with this. I said at the beginning of this show that you really are our best advocate. You guys being here at the event, our exhibitors, our sponsors, that's what brings a crowd. And the bigger the crowds are, the more we can do. That's why this year we can look to a new market and bring this show to somewhere we've never been before. So as you leave today, it's time to think about what can you do over the next year and 6 or 7 days to be able to keep this show growing. Can you find someone to bring to the show next year? Can you talk to a new developer who hasn't been here before and explain to them why they need to get here? Can you think of a pilot friend or someone who's into any other simulator, like, say, Racing Sim, and bring them to this show? Yeah, right? What can we all do to keep this event growing? I'll tell you one quick story here. We have a developer who came to the show for the first time. I'm not going to mention any names, but I've been trying to get them for 5 years. Not once have they answered my emails or my phone calls. And that happens. I mean, that happens a lot. I reach out to like 300 plus developers alongside a team of a few of us. We don't get a lot of responses. That's fine. But finally this year, somebody mentioned them on our YouTube channel. And somebody responded, and someone else responded to that. And the next day, they phoned me. And they're like, hey, do you guys have exhibit space? We want to come to the show this year. That's because somebody out there helped. So any one of those developers that you can think of who's not here, who should be here, please help us by reaching out to them. Help us by bringing a friend. And let's continue to build our community-driven Flight Sim convention together. So with that in mind, yeah, thank you. Go ahead. Thank you. I appreciate that. So with that in mind, I'm going to wrap things up. I will be out front alongside the Go Providence team to answer any questions, to share some information about next year's event. On behalf of Phil, myself, the Flight Sim Association community, our wonderful volunteers, our exhibitors, our sponsors, our developers, thank you so much for being here. That is it for 2024. See you in Providence.